What's up, guys? So I wanted to do a little bit of a different video for you all today, and a little bit about this this video is going to be based on research, and I think there's some really cool research coming out specifically with the UFC. And one of the things that they released is a second volume of it's called a cross-sectional performance analysis and projection of the UFC athletes. So it's pretty cool in the fact that it's got some interesting stuff in just research trends and injuries. And the big thing is injuries. You know, that's what I deal with. And so it was interesting to me to kind of look through this, kind of dive into it. I wanted to give you guys some highlights of a few of the sections that I thought were really interesting. You can actually go to UFC.com and actually download this volume 2 for free, and it's just got some really interesting ideas on injuries, like I mentioned, recovery, training tactics. I think this would be great for just any person that's even training MMA or training stand up or the ground game, just to get an idea on some of the trends and some of the things going on and some of the things that athletes have to deal with. So moving on, so if we look at, there's different parts to it. There's strategies and goals. There's off-camp. A lot of different stuff, a lot of different sections here. But what we're going to get into is a little bit on the injuries and specifically the grappling injuries that you can get. So one of the awesome things that I stumbled upon is actually, and I don't know exactly how this would correlate into like Jiu-Jitsu specific tournaments with different rule sets and things like that, when you're looking at submission only versus gi and no gi, and just the levels of competition. I think there's a lot of variability there. But when you're looking at submissions by position, if we dive into here, this figure 1.12, it's pretty cool to see that 44.6% of submissions occurred from back control. That's awesome to see. I think that's super cool. And you can see that there's a ground miscellaneous section, which I'm not exactly sure. It refers to a host of submissions that occur in undefined ground positions, most of which can be attributed to chokes, and more specifically the Darce choke or other variations of head and arm choke. So that's kind of what they put in miscellaneous. Then you have some in bottom guard, which is 7.4%. Mounts 5%, half guards 3.7%. Standing submissions are pretty low, and then even you look at guard is like 2.1% in an MMA fight. I mean, obviously it's different in a jiu-jitsu tournament, but this is pretty cool and definitely shows that back control is like the thing. If you can get back control, I think that's kind of where most of your submissions are going to come from, which is interesting. I don't know how it relates to specifically in jiu-jitsu competitions. Like I said, depends on the rule set and things like that, but it's pretty interesting to see that these are going to be some of the things that could be popping up, And if you're an MMA fighter, like if you're training, if you're a jiu-jitsu person and you're transitioning to MMA, this is super cool to kind of guide your training, where you need to get good at, where you can probably finish from. So that's awesome to see that. Another fun thing to see here is that the octagon size, 30-foot octagon versus 25-foot octagon is a little bit, off topic here, but the submission rate was 25% in the 25-foot octagon versus 17% 30-foot octagon. I guess probably something to do with the takedowns, I'm sure. I think that could, using the cage, there's less area to move around. It could be, definitely better for a grappler, in my opinion. Just a smaller cage, less room to move around. So in section 2, we're going to talk about the injury characteristics, and this is by Heather Linden. She's one of the PTs, I believe, maybe in the head PT in the UFC Performance Institute, which is super cool of her. And then so there was 1,344 different injuries recorded in UFC fighters between 2017 and 2020. Talk mostly about the type of injuries and the injury specifically maybe from grappling, which I think is a super cool thing to look at. So something interesting to see here is when they talk about mechanisms of injury, when data is broken down into non-fight and then training injuries, we can see that the highest mechanism of injury occurs during grappling, which is kind of interesting. So Grappling is the highest percentage of reported injury in training. We see this as an opportunity where support staff and coaches may be able to implement more prevention strategies and training components. So here's an interesting thing to look at. You can look at average days or injury duration. It's gotten broken down into men and women. I believe A is for men and B is for women. So knee injuries are about 42 days. And then you have concussions. They're obviously not going to be as pertinent in the grappling sense. But foot pain is 36 days. Wrist hand pain is 44. And then fractures, again, those are uncommon in jiu-jitsu, but they do happen. And you can see the numbers here for the women, similar for the knees. And then foot pain's about the same and a little bit less for the wrist, hand. And then, so those are kind of some interesting things to look at. All right, so here's the thing I want to focus on for sure. And this is top injury diagnoses in kind of grappling. We're going to focus on the grappling piece of this, okay? So let's look at the grappling component. These are kind of the top injury diagnoses to grappling. So if you look at grappling, so you look at shoulder pain is 15%, neck pain is 16%. Think about chokes, different submissions for the neck and head. And then you're going to go down to low back pain at 11.5, bruised ribs, chest wall. And then again, you've got some sternum or some issues with like the chest area, which is like 10%. Ankle sprains are 8, foot pain 8. Shoulder issues or instability, maybe the shoulder dislocating, that's like 7% almost. And then neck joint stiffness, inflammation is like 7%. And then knee pain is 7. Again, I don't know how that exactly relates to jiu-jitsu competition, strictly jiu-jitsu competition. But it's cool to see that they have a lot of good numbers, a lot of good research. And that's why I thought this UFC Performance Institute, these statistics would be kind of valuable. They can give us a little bit of an idea on, just some of the commonalities in injuries. But that's super cool to see. Neck is pretty common, shoulders common. Knee, I feel like I see a lot of knee injuries in athletes in the gym. However, it was 7%. So guys, that's it. That's all I was going to kind of share with you all today. Just some higher points of injuries of what they kind of found in the UFC and the Performance Institute in this cross-sectional analysis. It's pretty cool to see just the numbers. Again, you can see there's some commonalities, but I'm sure there's variability to think about between just pure grappling or submission contests and MMA fights. But it's just cool to see that. And I'll share some more research that I find I think is valuable and could be helpful in you guys just kind of getting an idea on what to expect and type of injuries that you will see in jiu-jitsu. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. I'll send a link to where you can pick up this actual this cross-sectional analysis. You can search it and get a PDF copy for yourself. So that's it, guys. Talk to y'all next time.